Welcome to the U.S. Colonial Marines, Grunt. You may think you have a thankless job, but you have a mission to complete, so get on the ready line. You're here to inspect this complex, and there's no time to be afraid of xenomorphs. We have objectives to complete and bugs to kill, and this is Aliens Bug Hunt, which was designed by Ryan Miller and published by Upper Deck, who helped sponsor this video. Now, before we roll out and engage in glorious combat, we must first learn the rules of engagement, so this is how you play Aliens Bug Hunt. Aliens Bug Hunt is a cooperative game for up to 4 brave Marines looking to take on the fearsome xenomorphs as they attempt to accomplish 3 missions before the xenomorphs escape, outlast, or outright demolish the Marines. Players will be controlling squads as they explore the complex grid, revealing new tiles which may contain hives and/or objective tokens. Players may then collect objective tokens, breach barriers, reload, and of course, shoot the xenomorphs. Now we'll get to the bug hunt soon, but a good Marine is a prepared Marine, so let's go over the pre-mission checklist. First, players will receive 2 grunts and 1 named character card to make up their squad. The named character will come with special text, so be sure to familiarize yourself with their abilities as you assemble your squad. Any unused characters will be returned to the box. Players each then will receive a player board in miniature to represent their squad. Place each of your character cards on your player board, keeping in mind that the character furthest to the right is considered the point man and will generally receive wounds first. Next, place a large APC board in the center of the playing area. Each player will place their miniature in Sector 3, which is the entrance to the complex grid. The players will have 3 missions chosen at random that they need to complete to win the game. These missions should be placed within reach of players, as objective tokens will be placed on them throughout the game and will at times give the players special abilities they can use during the game. Players should also place the wound tokens nearby. Make sure they are mixed well and face up. Then place the breach tokens and xenomorph dice near the playing area. Shuffle up the tracking cards and leave them in a stack nearby, and do the same with location tiles. Next, prepare the phase deck, which will determine when players and xenomorphs activate. Each player has 3 phase cards matching their player board color. Add these 3 cards for each player in the game and add the single Lieutenant Commander card featuring all 4 player colors. Now take a number of xenomorph phase cards equal to the number of players in the game and shuffle them into the character phase cards to complete the phase deck. Finally, place the hive counter on the first space of the hive track on the APC tile, which will cause xenomorphs to spawn. Flip over the top tracking card and place 1 xenomorph die for every blip showing in sections matching the sectors in front of the APC tile. Alright, looks like we have xenomorphs already showing up on radar, so we need to get into the complex to deal with them before any xenomorphs escape. Don't forget your mission though. If we don't complete our mission, it doesn't matter how many bugs we wipe out, so you better get moving. The phase deck will determine whose turn it is, so the game begins once the first card from the phase deck is played. If the card flipped belongs to a certain player's color, they will take the usual turn steps, but if the Lieutenant Command phase card is drawn, players can choose any player to take a turn. On a player's turn, they will do 2 simple steps. First, they may move up to 3 movement points to move their squad represented by their miniature throughout the complex. Exiting a location tile costs 1 movement point. If a barrier is present that has not been breached, it costs 2 movement points to leave the current tile and leaves the barrier intact. If a squad moves into an empty space with no location tile, players draw a new tile, placing its light-colored entrance facing the direction the squad came from. If any xenomorphs were in the empty space where you have just placed a tile, they are placed on that tile with the squad. Anytime a squad reveals a new location tile, their movement ends immediately. Please note, a squad may not leave a tile that contains any xenomorphs unless they have support from another squad in that tile or an adjacent tile that is not blocked by a barrier. The complex grid may never be more than 5 tiles wide or 6 tiles long, but players can explore and fill out the complex grid however they like as long as they remain within those boundaries. On location tiles, players may see open passageways and/or barriers, as well as hive icons and objective icons. If an objective icon is showing, place an objective token on that location tile. This objective token can be captured and placed on a mission card, which brings players closer to victory and may give them a chance to use a powerful effect. Players can collectively choose any mission they like to place objective tokens onto and work on many missions at once or take them on one at a time. If the new tile players enter has a hive, spawn a number of xenomorph dice equal to the number in the hive icon. Once the active player has completed their desired movement, they choose one of 4 actions to take. As mentioned before, players can capture an objective token from the location they are on and place it on any mission. Players can also breach a barrier, which will make it easier to move and allows for firing into adjacent tiles. Players may also shoot to deal with the looming threat of xenomorphs. To shoot, a player may deplete as many of their ready characters as they like and add the total firepower of all characters used. Firepower will be shown by the bullet icon in the lower left corner of character cards. The more firepower you have, the more xenomorphs may be targeted. First, xenomorphs on the same tile as the squad will be targeted. For each targeted xenomorph, roll their die. When a blank is rolled, a xenomorph is killed and returned to the xenomorph dice pool. If either of these two icons are rolled, the xenomorph survives, and the red mouth icon means one of the characters that fired on the xenomorph must take a wound and place it on their character card skull side up. Once all xenomorphs on the tile with the squad have been targeted, if any extra firepower remains, the active player may target xenomorphs in adjacent tiles as long as there are no barriers present. Simply carry out the same steps again. Any xenomorphs who survive will move into the tile containing the squad, but no wounds will be dealt, so firing from a distance is always safer. Players can shoot from the Sector 3 entrance on the APC tile, but any targeted xenomorphs that survive will immediately move onto the APC tile and escape and are removed from the game. Using characters to shoot depletes them, and they may not be used again until that player uses reload as their action, which will once again ready all of their characters. Once a player has carried out both steps of their turn ends by drawing the next card from the phase deck. Now these xenomorphs aren't planning on standing around letting you shoot them, so beware as they multiply, mobilize, and go for the kill. At times when drawing from the phase deck, players will draw xenomorph cards. When a xenomorph card is drawn, move the hive tracker one space forward. If the hive tracker moves onto a space with a xenomorph phase icon, the turn is interrupted and the xenomorphs take action. An overview of the xenomorph phase is located on the APC tile and will follow 3 steps. First, xenomorphs attack. Any squads who have xenomorphs on their tile will be attacked with their point man taking 1 wound for every xenomorph present on their tile. If multiple squads are present on the same tile, players may decide how to distribute the wounds. Once a character has wounds matching their armor limit, every time a character would need to take another wound, they instead flip over one of the wounds on their card. If the backside is blank, that character survives. If KIA is revealed, that character is killed in action and removed from the game, with another character stepping into the role of point man for the squad. If a character flips over all available wounds and reveals no KIAs, they survive until the next time they need to take a wound, at which point they fall to the xenomorphs. After the xenomorphs have attacked, they move if they are not on a tile with a squad already. Any xenomorphs adjacent to a tile with a squad will move onto that tile, ignoring any barriers. For any xenomorphs adjacent to more than one tile with a squad, players may choose which tile or tiles they go to. If they are not on a tile or space adjacent to a squad, they instead move toward the APC tile, hoping to escape. Any xenomorphs who move onto the APC tile escape immediately and their dice are removed from the game. Xenomorphs can escape through any sector, whereas all squads can only enter or exit through the Sector 3 entrance. For each group of xenomorphs that escapes, the hive tracker is moved 1 space forward regardless of the number of xenomorph dice that escape. After attacking and moving, xenomorphs spawn. Once again, players will draw the top card of the tracking deck. Xenomorphs will spawn 1 die for every blip showing in the sectors on the tracking card. For each sector that has blips, players will place dice on the first available location in the matching sector with the hive icon. Dice will be added matching the hive number, and the process will repeat if more dice still need to be added to that sector. Once the hives have been filled, if dice still need to be added, all remaining xenomorphs will be added to the empty space closest to the APC tile. If the entire sector is filled with location tiles, all remaining xenomorphs will be placed on the last tile in that sector. Repeat the spawning process for any sector that shows blips, adding 1 xenomorph die per blip showing on the tracking card. Some tracking cards have text at the bottom, and players will carry out the card's directions after completing the spawning action of the xenomorphs. When the hive tracker reaches the last spot on the track, add an additional xenomorph phase card to the phase deck discard pile. Once the phase deck is empty, reshuffle the discard pile. The xenomorph's phase will now trigger more often. Once the xenomorph phase is complete, players will draw a new phase card and continue play. Beware, if during the spawning of xenomorphs players run out of dice and need to add more to the complex is considered overrun and the players instantly lose. Keep in mind that all escaped xenomorph dice are no longer in the game and unavailable to use. That's right, it's a slippery slope once you start letting xenomorphs run free in the complex. The key is to stop the xenomorphs from escaping, or it's game over, man, game over. The xenomorphs have many paths to victory, and the Marines must work together to survive. The game is over and xenomorphs win immediately if ever more dice need to be added to the complex but the dice pool runs dry, if one squad loses all 3 of its characters, or if the tracking deck or xenomorph phase deck ever run out completely. But don't forget, you're here to complete your missions, and as you collect objective tokens, you have access to powerful effects that may be used a few times a game. To make use of a mission's power, flip over an objective token face down and carry out what is written on the card. Keep in mind, if you don't have any face-up objective tokens on a mission, you may not use that mission's power. Players can only win by completing all 3 missions. Each mission needs to have all objective token spaces filled to be considered complete. Once all 3 missions have been completed, each squad must survive and exit the complex through the Sector 3 entrance. Once all squads are on the APC tile, the players win. And that is how you play Aliens Bug Hunt. This game is all about teamwork and survival. A unit that trusts each other is a unit that thrives together. Now, no Marine is ever truly ready, so the best thing to do is simply hop in the fire and see how you do. But if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by the challenge, you can always have 2 named character cards and 1 less grunt, so you have more access to special powers. A veteran or 2 can really help calm a squad down. Now, you can also skip the initial xenomorph spawning during game setup if you like. Now, if you're looking for more of a challenge, you can always do a double spawn at the start of the game, and you can always add in more xenomorph phase cards to the phase deck to begin the game. And if you'd like to learn more about Aliens Bug Hunt, visit its page at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, Marines, we'll see you on the battlefield, and that is how you play Aliens Bug Hunt. Happy hunting.